In the past 2 years, I published more than 18,000 social media posts across multiple social platforms, and I went ahead to analyze what were the content pieces that performed best for me in terms of making money. Not views, not likes, not engagement, but money. What I found was really interesting. The content pieces that went viral, that got a lot of likes, views, shares, comments, those posts rarely made me money, and most of the case they actually made me zero amount of dollars. But there was one type of post that when I posted it, it would attract buyers and generate me money. And one particular video that I posted on my YouTube channel that generated me more than $10,000 in client deals, and it has less than 3,000 views. So here's a video that I posted on my YouTube channel. It's called the 2-Hour Man System, how I'm growing a $50,000 per month business working 2 hours a day. And this video itself generated me more than $10,000 in client deals. Now, the good thing about this video on why it performed really well was because in this video, I didn't really give people a ultimate guide or super value-packed video. Instead, this video, I was more like addressing the problems and making people think differently on how I'm approaching business growth. And I demonstrated what's possible with the system that I'm using, but without giving the complete system so people swipe the system, walk away, and feel like they never need to talk to me again. They already have all the tools and never had to spend money with me. So this video in itself attracted people that like the concept, they like the perspective, the new perspective that I'm giving, and they're interested in investing into solutions. That's a type of content that generated me the most money. It's when I show people a new perspective on how to get an outcome or whatever they want to achieve, and they see it as a way that is better. They see it in a way that is better than what they have currently. That makes them more likely to want to invest and buy stuff. And the thing is, in this video, I didn't use any special editing tricks or try to make it go viral. I simply focused on shifting how people think about growing their business. And instead of giving them step-by-step tactics, I show them a different way to view their problems. You know, most creators do the complete opposite. They don't actually talk about the problem. They just give people the value. So you solve the problem, so they're not likely to spend any money because their problem is already solved. Why would they want to spend money when you already solved their problem? No wonder why no one buys their stuff or their offers. You see, you can choose to post content that is super value packed, that is likely to go viral, get a lot of likes, comments, and shares and engagement, but it's going to attract you 100,000 followers. But from those 100,000 followers, very little of them are going to be buyers. Or on the other side of things, you could talk more specific, more in depth, and try to shift this perspective of your audience. Obviously, it's going to get less views, less likes, less comments, but the people that actually choose to follow you, let's say you get 1,000 followers, those followers are more likely to buy your stuff and invest into an offer that'll get them to solve their problems. Because generally speaking, people that are looking for complete how-to, step-by-step ultimate guides are people that are not looking to invest into solutions. They're just looking for freebie stuff. The last thing I want is to have 100,000 followers of people who are non-buyers, freebie seekers, and would completely give me false information on how I'm approaching content. They'll give me this false sense of progress that I'm posting content that is getting impact, maybe in terms of virality, vanity metrics, but it's not going to increase the impact of how much money I make in the end of the day. So this is why I think it's very important to distinguish the content that's going to generate you money and the content that's going to generate audience growth. Now, there is a world where you can have both, but the most important thing is you want to be able to distinguish what is the content that is actually generating you more money and what is the content that is generating you just views and engagement. And you want to be able to distinguish between these two and focus on the one that you want more. For me, I want to make more money. So I'm going to focus on the content that shifts people's perspective so I attract buyers and people that are looking for solutions. So what's the difference between content that will get you views and content that will generate you more money? So based on the content that I posted, the content that got me the most amount of views was a free value content that solved everything for free. I would literally give exactly how to do things step by step. You know, the stuff that is in my intellectual property in my program that I would give to a client, I would create a YouTube video and post that to the public. Now, this would get a lot of views. People would say, thank you, this was super valuable. It will get me followers, likes, comments, shares. But the thing is, it left people with no reason to pay money because I solved their problem completely. So why would they need more? They already have all the things that they need to do to get the results that they want to. So I got the insight here was I'd get high engagement, but I would get little to zero sales. Now, the content that made me the most amount of money, like I explained earlier, I showed what was possible when you use a different method. But I didn't show the exact method. I explained how the method worked, but I wouldn't give exactly how to do it step by step. So it's kind of like this. There's a way to get to an outcome, and there's a path to the outcome. So content that makes money is content that shows the path to get that outcome, but it doesn't give you the car to get to that outcome. So you show people the path. Okay, here's the path to get to dream outcome. Here's what the problem is going to come across, and here's what you likely want to do on your journey towards there. Then they'll get the path. They'll get a perspective shift. They'll understand, yeah, this is the path for me to make more money or to get to dream outcome, whatever you're trying to sell. Then at the end, you say, hey, look, if you want to go to this path, I have a car that could get you there faster. Would you like to go there together? That's your offer. So now it's logical. They're more likely to think, yeah, I do want to ride to get to this path. I do believe that this is the path. So let's do it. So you can get more I'm-ins, more people that are interested in buying your content, and your content is going to convert way better. Generally speaking, this content is going to create aha moments. So they're going to realize, oh, I see. This is what I need to do to get to this outcome. And it naturally leads to a paid solution like I explained. So now once we're able to distinguish the content that will generate leads and money and the content that will just get views, the next thing is we want to make sure we package it in a way where it actually gets them to view that perspective shift. So what I noticed when I posted short form content and long form content, I got completely different results. When I posted short form content, it would get quick views and engagement. You know, short form content has a shelf life of maybe 24 to 72 hours maximum, and then people stop seeing it. So it would build surface level trust. And in order to build really good trust in short form, you need to post very frequently, more often. So it does require more work on there. When I posted short form content specifically and not long form content, because the perspective shift or the problem awareness of the problem wasn't that deep in my audience, it required me to send more messages, hop on calls to discover their problems and to make them more problem aware, to view my offer as a benefit or something that they need to have. So this resulted in high effort, low conversion. High effort in terms of posting more content, doing more calls, doing more follow-up, doing more messages to try to get that in-depth problem awareness in my audience so they can become qualified buyers and they're more likely to buy my stuff. Now, when I posted long-form content, specifically perspective shifting content, the video I explained earlier, you can watch the video, is that built deeper connection, it built real trust, and clients would be more likely to reach out and buy from me because they watch the full video and they're more likely to understand that this path is better and understand the problems that they have and how the path that I'm showing is a better way to get to their outcome. So they're more likely to be convinced and sold by watching long form content over short form content. And the next thing I realized was I didn't need to do as many sales calls, or I don't do any sales calls at all right now. Instead is I put more effort into creating a high quality YouTube video or long form content that talks about the path and then at the end promotes an offer. So when I started doing this long form content, it required less effort in terms of creating content over and over again, less time sending back and forth messages in the DMs trying to extract the problem and the pain points and going on calls to try to get discovery calls, trying to understand what people want. And instead, I would get higher conversions because the video would sell for myself when I structured it the right way. Now, short form, there's nothing wrong with short form. Short form can absolutely supplement your long form content and is very powerful. But in my opinion, I think the goal of short form is to get people to watch your long form content so it converts for them. Short form content is great to get people, to hook people in with a problem to what they want, and then direct them into long form content so they can become more problem aware and be more familiar with your path and your process. And then tying that to your offer makes it much easier to increase your conversions. Now, this is really important because the content strategy you decide to choose, whether to go viral, try to get as much followers as possible, compared to trying to post content that's going to attract people that are buyers and are more likely to invest, that's going to determine your audience. And based on the quality of your audience, is going to determine what type of business model you need to run to convert that audience into customers and clients. So let me paint the two pictures over here. So let's say each of these circles over here is 1,000 followers into your social media account or to email list, whatever. These people follow you. So if you follow a viral content strategy, over time, you're likely to add a lot of followers over time. Let's say month 1, you have 3,000 followers, month 3, 6,000, month 6, 10,000. But the thing is if you look at those followers, are those followers actually quality followers? Because if we can look over here, a quality follower has a green color. That means they're more likely to buy. And an unqualified or non-buyer followers are in red. So we can see that if we follow the viral content strategy, we're likely to add a lot of followers to our account, but that doesn't mean all of the followers on our account are likely to become buyers. Now, on the other side of things, if we were to post perspective shifting content over time, strategic content that builds trust, that goes in depth and shows people a path or process to get the dream outcome that they want, you're not going to get as many views because it's not entertaining and you're not giving free value and stuff. But what's going to happen is the people that follow you are likely to be of more sophisticated level and higher quality. So you can see maybe month 1 we have 2,000 followers, month 3 3,000, month 6 5,000 followers. But what we're actually focusing on here is the quality of our audience and the efficiency of our audience, because the results is going to be very different in terms of business model. If you run a viral content strategy, you're likely to have a big random audience, and just to get the amount of qualified people to find in that huge audience, you likely need to post more content because you don't have enough people in your following. So you're going to think that I need to post more content. So you're likely going to have you're likely to have high daily posting requirements. You're going to be consistently creating content. You're likely to require sales calls to convert people into clients, because you need to identify their pain, you need to raise their problem awareness, and then you need to explain your offer or show them a process that's going to help them solve their problem. And because you don't have that in your perspective shifted content or long form content, you're going to need to do a sales calls for that, and likely many of them. And you're likely going to have a low efficiency conversion, because based on your audience, it's not going to be as efficient in terms of converting who follows you into a client or customer. Majority of the people that follow you will never become a buyer, and they're just there to engage with your stuff, which isn't efficient in the first place. Now, on the other side, you're likely to have a smaller audience, but it's going to be way more efficient, higher efficiency. And you do that by posting strategic content. And because you post strategic content, you're likely to get more client inquiries. You're not going to require sales calls because your content goes in depth enough where it explains your process, gives them some problem awareness, you talk about problems, and that makes it easier for you to convert. You're going to have a high efficiency conversion. So for me, I prefer to post content that is more strategic, but is going to grow my account slower. I do not care about the amount of people following me. What I care about is the quality of people that follow me, which is way more important. Now, just to recap, the content that makes real money is content that, number 1, transforms how people think about their problems. Number 2, goes deep enough to build trust, talking about the problems, giving them a path. And number 3, leave space for your paid solution. You do not want to be giving all your paid stuff for free or giving free intellectual property. Number 4, it attracts people willing to invest. If you're doing these 4 things, keep it up. That's a content that's going to work. Now, if you want to learn more about how I create content that converts without going viral, make sure to join my newsletter. It's a link in the description. I share daily insights about building a profitable business without the endless hustle. I go over digital assets, systems, tools, frameworks, and other things that I'm implementing into my business and my clients' businesses to help us make more money working less hours. If you want that, click the link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video.